using power.
Did you hear Madonna there? My Spotify was still playing. Okay, Madonna. It's my turn. A little bit of borderline on a tune. So the funny thing is, a couple of years ago, I was here. I was in Summerhall. There was a book event, and they invited me through, and I actually previewed readings from this book. This was the first place I did it, way before, obviously, the book's just out. Was anybody there? No? Damn. But it's okay, because I'm doing different readings. Because I was actually doing similar readings in other places, but I thought tonight I'm going to change it up. It's all different readings. So this is I'm going to start off quite early in the book, and Stephen is reflecting on the events of the last few years. His glory days were the mid to late 80s, and then he had a downward spiral with his health, ended up in hospital. So this is him out of hospital, life going very slowly. Here I am, no job, no essays, nobody phoning me up for a gig, no one phoning me up to play records, no girlfriend, one flatmate, one friend. It's amazing how easily it can all fall away. Materially, I had disappeared long before they dumped me in hospital. I had a good 9 months of invisibility in Glasgow. No one noticed. It's funny how easy it is to disappear from your own life. I kept my mum at bay with sparse but regular enough phone calls. I moved into a house with total strangers and never came out of my room. Vivian wasn't even sure where I was in the end. She'd gone to Spain with Sam and Hannah. Prior to Vivian, I was so used to not having a girlfriend, so resigned to being single, I just shut my brain off to the whole idea. When she chatted me up, and she did, she had the whole thing planned out. It was like trying to open a tin of sardines when the little key thing had fallen off. It was tricky. It took negotiating. It took belligerence and determination. She was around me for a while before an acquaintance of mine pointed out that he thought she was interested in me. I was playing records at the time, controlling the dance floor in a dark and busy club. It took a lot just for me to notice somebody talking to me. My point is that when Vivian finally pried my tin open and exposed my fishy sides to the world, all silver and gleaming, I didn't just fall for her, the opener of the tin. I fell for everyone. I fell for beauty in numbers. I fell for beauty in squadrons. I fell for beauty in formation. In this case, the formation was 4 young women walking into a club wearing long, ornate, floral print dresses, costume jewellery, stacked boots. It was an ambush of the senses. Let me explain. There was a uniform in the club. There was a uniform with a couple of outliers. I liked the uniform. I was in uniform. What I was wearing approximately was Doc Martens, trousers black flannel, wide and straight of leg, t-shirt, striped, crew-necked, jacket, zipper, reversible, cream or black or houndstooth, hair, number 2, shave at the sides and back, overhanging flop at the front. That was me. The clientele, the boys anyway, wore variations on a few different themes. Band t-shirts aplenty, jeans with the hems tucked up, some flannel shirts, plaid, country style, the occasional cravat, white denim jackets, the occasional punk, the occasional psychobilly, and the occasional goth. The girls were dressed like the boys, denim docs, flannel shirt, etc., or they wore cutie dresses, kind of 50s, polka dots, checks or flowers, often belted. Hair could be short, bobbed or tied up in a pigtail, lots of makeup, red lips, dark eyes, into the 60s, mixing it up, short skirts, stripy tights, leather boots, mod dresses, psychedelic, and the occasional punk, the occasional psychobilly, and the occasional goth. My point is, and I do have a point, that Vivian and her friends didn't look like any of us. They started floating into the club around that time like they had come by mistake. They seemed young and fresh. If one of the staff had gone over to their table and asked genuinely, "Are you guys in the right place?" it wouldn't have been surprising. For all the concentrated coolness in the club, it could be a little suffocating. Everyone was very serious about how they looked, and everyone wore their musical proclivities on their literal sleeves. These four girls, however, would have taught any old zealot how to breathe again. They were beautiful, from what I could gather. That beauty would swirl over me over time. All that hair let loose, all the hot breath of gasping girlfriends, the different smell of the four of them trying to outdo each other in fragrance, the paisley scarves, the big hoopy jewellery, ornate patterns, sweat and skin, girl sweat and pleather. That was then. Here I am now, sitting between my cheese plant and my fern in my waiting room, looking for peace in the quiet morning void. I'm trying to meditate. I don't even know if I'm doing it right. I keep emptying my mind, but I keep getting pulled back to those times. So this is later on in the book. I've gone on holiday with my best friend, Carrie, who has also got ME, and her family as well. I had a crush on Gillian, and it was growing by the hour. She wasn't interested. She was never interested. I think the slightly queasy feeling that accompanied my crush arose from the fact that she was the younger sister of my now confirmed best friend. Even if there had been something there, it still seemed like it would have been frowned upon somehow. But I was totally into her. Maybe the feeling it was never going to happen made it stronger, sort of poetic. At least this was a living person that I could see and talk to, unlike Farah, who played the fiddle. Gillian couldn't run away. She was stuck with us. I got to look at the crunch of her forehead as she thought of her Scrabble word. I got to wonder at the shape of her nose, strong and sculpted like a rookie boxer's, yet to be broken. As I listened to her banter with Dan, I thought she was one of the funniest people I'd met. Funny haha, but dry. She could crack you up. I wonder if I thought I could never go out with her because she was too smart for me. That might have been part of it. Best not to get too analytical. It just wasn't happening, and that was that. Is bumhole a word? She said. Strictly speaking, probably not, said Beth. I'd give you bumhole. It's a word, you use it, said Dan with a generous wave of a hand. But would it not have a hyphen, said Beth. Only posh bumholes take the hyphen, said Carrie without looking up from her supine position on the couch. My bumhole isn't posh, said Gillian. Truer words were never spoken, said Beth. Would anyone like any more red? I offered, waving the bottle. I'll take a thimbleful, dear, said Gillian. I wonder if she realised what calling me dear did. She was playing a character right at that moment. She was in a game of Cluedo or she was in a Bronte novel, but it still got to me. Archer, for 36, said Beth, placing her letters on a double word. Remember Mr. Archer, what did they call him? Asked Gillian. Bullseye, said Dan, staring at his letters. Didn't he have a thing with Mrs. Cochrane, the biology teacher? Asked Beth. That's right, the trembling divorcee. She used to wobble when she got near you, said Gillian. Shame, she added carelessly. Her forehead crunched furiously. Someone play a J, I've got blowjob. I drank the red wine and it made me dizzy, but not in a good way. I wasn't meant to drink on account of the pills and the ME, but the taste of the red was sort of heavenly, and my inner red wine copywriter was composing a letter to Gillian. Dear Gillian, this is a short note to say that I deeply fancy you. Please do not think that it's on the account of the fact that I've seen you mostly naked for the past 3 days. I fancied you before, I fancied your brains and your furtiveness, and I fancied you as much in a polo neck as your topless swimsuit, maybe even more. I think by dint of me having to write this note, my chances might be limited. I think what usually happens is that a boy and a girl, or a boy and a boy, or a girl and a girl, or a girl and a boy just end up kissing. I've heard about that. I've seen it in films. It always seems a little unreal to me that that would happen, but I am inexperienced in these things. I've only ever had one girlfriend and she pretty much drove the bus in the romance department. As I was saying, it's probably not going to happen between us. I know you have many suitors and they are all able-bodied and splendid. Even if nothing happens between us, and that's looking more and more likely the longer this letter gets, can I just say that I'm very happy to know you and I think you are fantastic, and that's not just the red wine talking, that's me talking under the influence of the red wine. I know that you know that I have just had what they term in the business a nervous breakdown. I hope that you feel I'm not so much more unhinged than I was before, and that if I start lightly raising the topic of love around the place, it's not because I feel desperate or on the edge of some emotional cliff or forced into it by the madness. I think maybe the love was already there, but now I am a peeled switch so you can see it, and you can have it by the jarful if you want it. Wishing you bumholes and blowjobs aplenty, Stephen. Right, I'm going to finish with a quickie. This is later on, and Stephen has actually made it back to the disco, but not playing records as he used to. I guess it was strange not to be the DJ tonight. It's been a couple of years now, and I don't care, I'm over it. It's like I used to be in the team, and now I'm back on the terracing watching the game as a spectator. I remember the glory of the lights going up, going down, pushing up the volume to club level for the first time, sticking on something you truly loved, then walking out onto the floor, parading around the room as if you had a duty to test the speakers, but really you just want to revel in the sound of the record you picked. I used to play new releases, album tracks early on. Sometimes you get the real indie scholars who could sniff out what you were playing and dance in a cool, knowing way, even though I didn't want anyone dancing yet. The art school DJs didn't have that problem. Most of the stuff they played was a throwback from way back. Old soul, rare funk, old garage, rare bubblegum, old hits, rare misses. It didn't take much for me to get up dancing. I knew that there would be songs played now that would never be played later, and I was thankful for the space on the floor. For a weak person, I took up a lot of room when I danced. Marco put on one of my trigger songs and I got up, Let the Sunshine In by Julie Driscoll. I unconsciously slipped off a layer of clothing and stepped out onto the spotlit floor. Some people like getting into the swimming pool, or up on a horse maybe, their moment of liberty and sensation. For me, it was dancing. Such a nice feeling, stepping out into the dappled light, into the sacred space. In the first week I came here, I waited till someone else went up before I stepped out. But from the second week on, I was usually first, and I liked it. Frank of the Whirling Arms came to join me, Kim of the Turtleneck got up, and the identical twin Maud sisters. I never talked to them, just danced with them or near them. Back in the day, I used to run miles, but this was my running now. Back then, I ran for miles in exhausting isolation. Now, I use as little energy as I can for maximum effect. I want everyone that was looking to see where every ounce of precious energy went. I twisted and floated. I used my arms to move my legs and my legs to move my arms. No energy was wasted. This was energy giving, not energy sapping. Kim joined me and we moved around like snakes or shadows. They put on the left bank. There would be no room for such delicacies later on, but it was perfect now. Frank joined us and crossed the floor on an invisible tightrope, wearing his ballet pumps. He whirled his arms. They played a lover's concerto by the Toys, I'm Not Saying by Nico, They Say I'm Different by Betty Davis. And they even threw a couple of new ones in which sounded great. Super Electric by Stereolab, Sons of the Stage by World of Twist. I felt as supple as I'd done for quite some time. I was trying to turn my anxiety energy into something decent, and dancing seemed to be the best way to do it. And when I wasn't dancing, and when the wash of lights came over me and the throbbing bass, the first clouds of dry ice mixed in, I felt the warm embrace of disco.